How do I start this thing?
Have you plugged the bloody USB in?
Yeah, it's in.
Nah, man, that's the wrong port. Oh, wait, it's flashing now.
It's recording.
Well, let's start this thing, fool.
Hello, everyone. I'm Amelia.
Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to Ask the Duo podcast, a podcast where we get deep into those late-night, unfiltered conversations.
We'll be discussing all things lifestyle, relationship, mindset, and more.
All right, let's get to it.
Hello, and we're back.
G'day there.
Howdy. Well, this topic that we're going to talk about today was actually brought to you by Instagram. No, just joking. I saw it on Instagram from this fighter that I follow. Her name's Angela Chang or something like that, but she goes by the name Angela Sitan. She is a Thai fighter, from what I know anyway. And she was posting about why are bad habits being normalized. So what we mean by this, we'll link this video that I saw in the links below. But people who go out and drink and party every day, every night, you know, that's a cool thing to do, right? But then when I ask you, oh, what are you doing tonight? And if your answer's not like, oh, I'm going out for dinner or I'm going out to clubbing or going out drinks, and you say I'm going out to the gym, people kind of think that you have a problem. And if that's your answer most of the time, like every day you go to the gym, it's like, the hell, why are you always going to the gym? So what she's trying to say is like, why are people normalizing or making it okay that going out every night to drink and party is cool, but then if you go to the gym to work on yourself, to increase your fitness, why is that a problem?
In terms of normalizing bad habits, so just going back on what you were saying before, it is very true in relation to just the social expectations when it comes to like socializing, that sort of shit. And in the past, I've experienced that as well, where say I'd be at work, it's a Friday afternoon, everyone's like, yeah, let's get on the piss. We've worked hard. Let's go get a drink or something like that. And look, I am sociable, but I don't want to fucking stay out for ages. And there's a reason why. One, where I live, the bus, public transport, it's not accessible after a certain time. And it is harder to get out of the city at that time anyways.
Well, outside of transport, right? Like, I think it's completely fine to go out and party and hang out and celebrate once in a while. But sometimes I do feel like that kind of glance where they're like, why? Like, why don't you want to come? Or why do you want to go to the gym instead? Like, it's more so the fact that the reaction is like, why do you want to go to the gym when you can come drink with us? That kind of reaction. It's less of, right, a transport or going out to party themselves. Like, that's cool. But it's just the way that people view you going to the gym more often than you going out to drink. Whereas vice versa, it's okay for you to go out and drink more often than you going to the gym.
Yeah, there's that social stigma where the expectation is well, come out and drink with us, but don't go with us to go and train.
Yeah.
And then you get classed as a gym junkie.
And like, I get it, like everyone's different, and there's also different people that you hang out with have different mindsets, but there are a lot of people that are normalizing bad habits out there too. So when I saw this post, like, I never thought of it this way. I've always thought, like, you know, why are people always thinking that me eating clean? Why do I feel like I'm getting judged when I'm saying I want to eat salad or want to eat healthy? And I'm always worried about voicing what I want to eat is because of that social norm. People want to go out to the pub and eat like a palmy or something, and I don't want that. I don't like fried food. And I always had this self-consciousness of voicing that, you know, I just want a salad. But you should be okay to say that and feel free to say that what you want to eat, because that's all personal preference.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's difficult when I wouldn't say you're particular with the food that you eat. It's more so you are cautious with how you eat. And that could be a health thing, right?
Yeah.
And the difficulty is a lot of people would judge you because the group is going to a particular place and they only serve a type of food, but because you either don't want to eat that kind of food, or if it doesn't suit your diet, if you are on a diet, it's automatically looked down on.
I think, but what I'm trying to get at the moment is it's completely fine if, say, you really love KFC and I love to eat like a good nourishing salad. It's completely fine, and I appreciate the people that are like, oh, cool, yeah, you can get your salad or whatever, but I hate it when people make those subtle comments. It's like, oh, are you eating a salad again? And it's kind of like they're judging you. But if someone totally respects that you like to eat salad and they respect that they like to eat KFC and that's what the food that they like, that's cool. But it's the ones that normalize the bad habits and kind of judge and talk down on you or make comments about what you're going to eat or what you're going to do, or be like, oh, nah, he's not going to come, he's hitting the gym again, blah, blah, blah. Like something like that. That's what I don't like.
Yeah, I can understand. It's like they're kind of giving you shit.
Yeah.
But subtly trying to give you shit.
It's like passive aggressive. But
passive aggressive, yeah. But then I find that the people that do that generally are very narrow-minded because they're not open to seeing what other things are outside.
I don't know about narrow-minded, but I just think that they don't prioritize themselves or they don't prioritize their own health. If we're talking about food and eating clean or going to the gym, they don't prioritize their own health before other things.
Yeah. And it makes sense because the most particular kind of people who are like that are exactly what you just said, you know what I mean? They're just very passive aggressive in the fact that they just give you shit straight away.
Yeah, and for the longest time, like I felt bad for the one that was like, oh nah, I want salad or I'm gonna hit the gym. I think in my 20s, on Friday nights we always go to the gym. Like that would be our biggest lift night because throughout the week it's hard for us to commit 2 to 3 hours at the gym, which is what we used to do. Fridays is like the first point in time when we can do that. So we'd either go there and do a massive night of deadlifts and all the accessories and things like that, or squats and all these other accessories. And then when Friday night, that's also where people were like, yes, end of the week, let's party, which I get it. It's cool. It is the end of the week and you should celebrate and just enjoy the start of the weekend or whatever it is. But at the same time, whichever one you choose shouldn't matter, but I always felt bad turning people down to go out and be like, no, I'm going to hit the gym.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with me too. I had that same judgment put onto me because during my early mid-20s, that's when obviously what you said, we gymmed quite frequently.
Frequency.
Frequently. And yeah, people used to say, oh, you're such a gym junkie and
yeah.
Is there anything else that you do outside of gym? And it's like, well, yes, I do things outside of gym. It's just the Fridays was like the most optimal time for us.
Yeah. And I think also the timing of when they go out versus when we can actually go to the gym is also the same. So it seems like it's always like we're always turning it down, but it just happened to be the same time.
Yeah. And that's the hard part, right? It's like I think later on in the years, it was more so like, okay, what's the balance between that social life where you can have, I guess, that time with people that doesn't interrupt your routine?
Well, not interrupt, like I wouldn't put it in that way, but can work with your routine.
Yeah, can work with your routine, right?
Yeah, and I think it's also, it's a bit on us. Obviously, we may be able to be more flexible and be like, yes, we'll go to dinner, but then after dinner, we'll go to gym. Or this week we'll skip gym, we'll hang out with our friends because you need to socialize as well and make connections, which is also important. And I think because definitely we were so passionate about gym and making our lifts and gaining strength and all that, we were really into going to gym and that's our priority. And their priority was more going out, having drinks, having dinner, going to people's houses and hanging out and have more drinks. Like that's their priority. And I think now we've actually, like it's not all on them as well. Like it's on us. We need to find a balance to work in between socializing, working out, eating clean, and whatever other priorities you have.
Yeah. And that leads on to another topic, right? It's recently starting to become bigger now.
Yeah, I've
And the
noticed on like just because I'm mainly on Instagram,
Yeah.
a lot of people show all these memes about how they just go straight to bed at 9 o'clock. That's past their bedtime, and they just go home and sleep, which is now like the new norm and the joke or the cool thing to do. Whereas back then, I would say when we were in our 20s, mid 20s, that wasn't the thing.
Yeah, it was all about like, oh, fucking let's party till like 6 a.m. kind of
Yeah.
stigma. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I mean, look, there are still, I guess there's a generation thing as well. There are people who still do that, as in party till 6 a.m. or stay out till 6 a.m.
Yeah.
But majority of, I guess, the trend, if you want to call it that, it's all about going home and just chilling
Well,
at
it's
home.
not the trend. I think there's definitely more. The spotlight is more on the mental health and your own health and prioritizing that. There's definitely more spotlight on that now, as
Yep.
opposed to going out and being the sociable one and having all your friends and what party did you go to.
So you mean the social awareness in regards to health and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I think it's definitely been brought out a lot more. But in saying that, I think it's another thing. Like, I feel like sometimes it gets posted a lot just to be cool. Yes, it's really good that now this awareness is being shown more often and making it known that it's okay to go home by 9 o'clock. But then I think it can be overdone on social as well.
Times change too. A lot more people are starting to talk more, like you said, or express more, being more aware and that sort of shit. Whereas back then, it wasn't really evident. It was more about like, how can you party or how can you gym? I remember gym used to be a really big thing back then.
Your example is exactly that, like going to the gym and being classified as a gym junkie. Is that where you've experienced people normalizing the bad habits and don't feel the same?
Yeah, that going to the gym thing is one of the biggest things that I experienced, especially in my earlier 20s to the late 20s. There was a solid, almost 10 years that we were quite serious in gymming. So obviously we had a routine and very focused on getting goals in terms of lifts and that sort of shit, because I was more so powerlifting, very strength focused. So when it came to food, when it came to like how I socialize and that sort of stuff, there was a lot of times where I probably didn't go out and socialize, or I cancelled the socializing more so, just to obviously go and train. Yeah. And there were multiple and numerous times where people would always be like, "Oh, why are you going to gym, man? Just come out, fuck the gym. Let's get on the piss." Or you know what I mean? Like, it's always
a bit
like
of peer pressure in a way.
I mean, yeah, it's always peer pressure, but I didn't really care about that. But it was always that stigma of like, "Oh, you're such a gym junkie, man. Why do you always go? Like, why can't you just skip a day or skip a week of just?"
Yeah.
And it's like, well, dude, like, I'm trying to be health conscious, you know what I mean? And I'm focused. Like, that's a good thing.
Yep.
Like, why write that off?
So, say that you're in the same position now as you were when you were 25 and you're at your peak of working out and that. What would you change in the way of how you respond to someone like that now as opposed to back then? Like, how would you respond to them as you are today?
To be honest, my response has always been the same. And my response has always been like, well, yes, I understand that I may be writing it off in terms of going out to socialize with you, but at the same time, I'm doing me. This is something that I really enjoy.
It's all about the gains, bro.
It's all about the gains, my boy. Like, it, you know what I mean? Like, I've always been like that. And yes, a lot of peer pressure, but I don't fall under peer pressure.
Yeah, no, you're good at that though. And I know the way that you respond, you kind of make it a joke, not a joke, but you make it very light, a light conversation too, where people can just laugh it off with you.
Yeah. I think that's like the best kind of response, because obviously you don't want people to take it the wrong way if you don't go out with them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's good. Maybe another direction is also scheduling. Like, say your friends are like, "Hey, come out this Friday," but it was very last minute and you already planned to go to the gym or you wanted to do something that you really wanted to do, you could be like, hey, let's reschedule, or hey, let's make it this date instead and I'll come out with you guys. So that way it's set in stone and you're not saying no every single time.
Yeah.
And you are making the effort as well.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Most times it was a Friday that was the socializing time.
Yeah, but I'm just talking in a broad perspective.
Yeah.
As a future direction, if it happened again, or like say someone else is in a similar situation, this is something that they could do.
Yeah. No, definitely something that I wouldn't say change, but would add into if I was to go back in time, is I would do that. I would probably schedule an alternative date.
Yeah.
Or just work around the schedules, I guess. It's maybe instead of, because Friday's the big day, right? I could chop and change and go, okay, well, let's go out on a Friday and I'll just work it on a Saturday or a Sunday.
Yeah.
So I think that is something I would try and do, because I know back then we were very particular with how we trained and we knew that these are the days that work for us. So I think if we were less strict and more open to work with other people, I think that would have worked well.
But this is very gym schedule focused too. So say someone normalized a bad habit and you don't agree with it, like, is there another direction you could take? Maybe, for example, my food example, where I do like to eat salad and someone's always like, oh, why are you always eating salads, or eating salad again, or like, I bet she's gonna order a salad. What would you do in that case?
As in my response?
Yeah.
Well, okay. It depends. If I've spoken to this person multiple times, right, and they keep saying the same shit, there's different levels of response, right? In my opinion, you could be friendly and be like, look, yeah, chill out, bruh. Like, I like eating salads, right? And if that person doesn't respect that, that's when you need to take it to the next point, right? And it just depends on the character too, because every person reacts differently. So I try and make a joke out of it. I'd give them shit back, or something that they do.
Of
be
course
like,
you would.
well, yeah, it's like, well, I like to eat salad, but that's why your face is all fucked up. Like, you know what I mean? It's trying to be like, I don't know, like if they got, pimples or some shit like that. I just make jokes like that. Like, you know what I mean? It just depends on the character themselves. Like, they could be aggressive. Then you can react aggressively according to that person. So likewise, I just give them shit and then kind of like.
Another thing that I've also realized as I've like matured over time is not all, like, I'm not trying to attack the other person who's trying to normalize or have a different habit that we don't agree with. But I think a lot of these things we also do self-criticize. Like, you think that someone might judge you for it because of previous situations where you've been put in that situation, right? So for example, a lot of people are like, well, why are you eating salad? So now my mind has been programmed to think that everyone will think the same way. But what I've realized is not everyone may think like that. Some people might be, oh, cool, like, just order whatever salad you want. Whereas before I even get to that conversation, I'm like, oh, I don't want to tell them that I want to eat something healthy today. They might judge me. So I think another thing is, don't put so much pressure on yourself and just be yourself. Like,
100%, man.
Just honestly be yourself. And that's also a way that you find the people that align with you versus the people who don't align with you. Because if you're going to hang out with someone and you did whatever you want to do, say you like to clean your seat before you sit down or whatever it is, and someone's like, oh, cool, then that's like someone that respects you, someone who aligns with whatever you do, and that's a cool person that that you will be able to hang out with or connect with in the future. But if someone is completely like, the hell, like, just sit down, like, don't need to clean your seat, then that they're not someone that can align with you.
Yeah, and that's a strong thing that you're talking about. It's about being yourself. Like, yeah, you might eat certain types of foods and you might have a particular way of how you do things, but that's you. You do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you said, if someone doesn't respect you in the fact that they know and appreciate that that's you, then like you said, don't fuck with that person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there are certain people that you can be with and certain people that you should just be like, give them the flick, fuck them off.
Well, not like that. Just, let them go and move on.
Yeah, let them go and just let them be, right? So I think there are different levels of people who may react to how your particular requirements or routine is. And what I mean by that is relating it to the thing that we were talking about just before, how I would react to someone who was giving me shit about food, right? It's about understanding that character as to how they react to what you're doing or what you're requesting.
Yeah.
So if you know that they give you shit on a constant because of what you do, then maybe that's not someone that you want to be with, right? But if they give you shit once or twice and then they leave it and they go, okay, cool, I know what you want.
Yeah, or they may not even realize that they're doing it, and you talk to them, they're like, oh shit, sorry, I didn't realize I was doing that, and that's cool. But if it's someone that continues to do it, even after you've mentioned it, be like, hey, that's not cool, then that's definitely someone that you don't want to.
And that's what I was saying, there's different levels of reaction, right? How you react to the person is just depending on that character. So the next thing that I was actually thinking about this, and it could be, but I was thinking about work in the fact of slouching being, it's normalized in a non-direct way.
Like it's the cool lowrider sitting position.
Well, you don't see and you don't hear people educating or reminding the practices of not slouching. Like in a workplace, people always say, yeah, get up and move around, stretch your limbs and stuff like that. Because that's true, right? You're working from home, you're always sitting, you're focused, you're doing your shit. I get that. But you never go, okay, let's get up and reset.
No one reinforces it. They just mention it, saying that you should move every half an hour, or sit up straight. But no one actually goes around and be like, hey, I can see that you're kind of slouching. It's not good for your back. Maybe try sit up straight or something.
Like slouching, it's never reinforced about the whole ergonomics and keeping your posture straight.
Yeah,
and I think
that's true.
That's the biggest thing. Like if you look at, most workplaces, people are, using a laptop, they're looking down, they're slouching, or if they've got a stand-up table, they're leaning on the table and they're slouching. And I'm guilty for that too, because I used to work on stand-up tables, and even on sitting down tables, I'm slouching. I'm slouching like a motherfucker.
Actually, going further off topic about this whole slouching thing, I notice this a lot because for me personally, I have this neck that's always really stiff, so I can't sit on certain chairs, and I've always been like that. But every chair design, I don't know if it's just new designs or chairs have always been like that, it has a slight lean to it, so like angled backwards, and that's definitely not ergonomical for me. Like especially when you go to like conferences or meeting room, I find that all these modern chairs or just chairs in general has this lean to it, and I can't sit like that where I'm slouched back, because then it inclines you to push your neck forward to kind of sit up straight because there's nothing holding your back up. Yeah. And I feel like that always gives me headaches. That's also why I don't like these chairs. And even like high school chairs, they were all like that, and I hated it. And that's why I'm very aware of the type of chairs there are. So why is it normal to build chairs like this that aren't even ergonomically designed? Yeah.
And that's slightly off topic, right? But it's similar in the fact that no one talks about it directly.
Why aren't people designing better ergonomically designed chairs?
Yeah, and no one really goes, hey, let's take a 10-minute break, let's reset posture, make sure you're not slouching. Because I noticed that in a workplace too. No one goes, hey man, the way your seat settings, it's going to fuck your back. No one talks about that shit.
But then I guess as a business owner or a manager, I guess people don't want to push like a personal preference thing.
I get that.
Yeah.
But that like your posture has a huge effect and can have a detrimental effect to your body composition.
Apparently it actually affects your breathing too. If you actually slouch over time, it decreases your lung capacity or compresses your lung capacity so that it's harder for you to breathe.
Yeah, because it fucks your muscles and everything like that, like your posture, your positioning and all that sort of stuff. It all has some correlation together. So it makes sense that it would do that, right? So that's what I'm saying, like with slouching, and I'm guilty of it at times too. It's like you're focused on work and you don't realize that you're looking or you're slouching like a fucking...
But I think that's also induced because now everyone's got laptops. And if you think about it, the ergonomical position of you is that your monitor should be eye level, right? But no laptop is ever going to be eye level. And if you put your laptop or your Mac or whatever on a table, it's way below your eye level. And then your arms need to be like a 90 degrees to be able to have that proper posture. But it's one or the other. If you're going to have your device lower than your eye level, you kind of have to lean down. But then if you need to put your laptop high, so you propped it up, your arms aren't at 90 degrees and you're typing in the air. So we're just designing things that aren't ergonomical. Yeah,
and this leads on to the next one, which is about phones. We normalize bad habits with mobile phones. Everyone's talking about, it's digital space. You can use your phone to basically do everything and everything in today's society, right? But we never talk about having a break from our phones. Like we always pick up this phone and we're always looking at it, doing everything from your banking to your notes. You play games, you take a shit with this. I've seen dudes piss holding their phone with one hand on social media and holding the other hand on their dick, pissing. And I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Hell?
Like, I've seen guys do that. And it's like, dude, do you ever get off this?
Have you seen the memes? Like, this is more an Asian, especially in Hong Kong. So there's like these memes or pictures that people post and they're on the MTR, which is technically, I guess, a train, underground subway train. And it's couples, they're hugging each other, but they're looking at the phone over the shoulders. So they're like hugging and like kind of facing each other and they have their phones.
Yeah, that's like the phone thing is another one, right? Like I said, the phone also induces slouching. If you think about it.
Well, just your neck. There's actually a neck. I don't know how to translate it in English, but Chinese to English is like, is there phone syndrome? So you're always looking down and you get like this neck slouch, like hunch from looking at your phone.
Yeah. And no one talks about that stuff. No one educates people about phones or taking a break from phones.
Yeah. But leading off from that, I think going back to a bit of normalizing the bad habit, yes, because you have every device or your mobile phone readily available, it increases the chance of someone that's always on the phone. So say you're a business person, I think normalizing a bad habit is always looking busy because you can easily access your email or easily access whatever you need to do on your phone or write your notes. And people normalize the bad habit of being busy and
not taking a break is the next one.
Which leads back to one of our episodes.
Yeah.
But it's just that it's okay that you're not doing anything or it's okay that you're spending time for yourself. Like some people may get into this habit of needing to do something all the time or be like, oh no, sorry, I'm busy, I'm doing this. Or like, but you don't always have to be like that. That's a bad habit, I think, has been normalized.
And I'm guilty of that too. Sometimes if I'm in an environment where I'm like, well, what the fuck do I do here? Like if you go buy clothes and you're trying it, I'm standing there in a fucking female clothing shop. What do? Well, I'm going to stand there and take out my phone and look at my emails and do shit.
That's slightly different from what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
but
slightly different, but a similar concept in the fact that you're using your phone to make it look like you're busy, you're waiting, you've got shit you got to do, right? So it's the same concept, but slightly different in terms of what you're trying to say.
Yeah, that is something that I realized. But for me, I actually enjoy people watching. So if I was in that situation, I just see what's happening out in the world. Like naturally, I think that's a forgotten thing that's been happening. It's like people don't sit and be still and just absorb what is happening around you. Like people watching or just sit outside on the beach and just watch the water crash and just do nothing and be still.
Just don't stare at people if you're dazing off, because I've done that before.
At the beach.
And someone's looked at me and be like, what the fuck are you looking at? And I'm like, what? Oh, nothing. So yeah, just make sure you're not staring like at someone, but you're daydreaming at the same time.
Yeah. Last thing I wanted to add, though I don't know if this is going a bit off topic, I feel like sometimes people expect a purpose behind something that you do. So what I mean by that is, say for example, I'll bring it back to the dieting or the food choices that you make. Say I go out, I'm like, oh, I want to eat clean today. And people are like, why are you dieting for a fight, or are you doing competition soon, so you need to get lean? And you're just like, no, I just want to eat clean. But then because there's no purpose behind the choice you want to make, people kind of judge you for that. I don't know if you feel the same way. Like obviously not, it doesn't have to be food, but if you don't have a purpose or a reason behind a choice that you do, you kind of feel judged. And the same with going out. Like say Friday night, someone's like, oh, hey, let's hang. And you're like, nah, I think I'm just going to chill out tonight and stay at home. And then someone will be like, oh, how come? Like, why do you want to stay at home? Like, do you have something on tomorrow morning? And you're just like, no, I honestly just want to take time off and just chill at home by myself today. And I feel like sometimes you can get judged for that. Like you want to do something and it doesn't always have to have a purpose for it. Like you honestly just want to do this for yourself, and that should be okay.
Yeah, I agree with you in terms of being judged, I guess, on your choice, right? So in terms of the food thing, that is actually quite true as to how people would basically react. It's always like, oh, what's your purpose?
Like who gives a shit if you have a purpose or not?
And it's like, oh, it's always like, it's always at first the same kind of like question.
Yeah.
It's always like, oh, why? And then after you give them a reason why, they're like, oh, okay, well, you don't need to do that tonight.
Yeah.
It's always that kind of, that's the typical sort of answer or question.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have experienced that, multiple times. And it's always like, oh, people would go, oh, do you need to eat clean tonight? It's like, yeah. Well, it's not just that. It's just I feel like doing it.
Mm.
Why? Oh, well, I just ate shit, last week.
Yeah.
Oh, nah, man, it's all good. You're out with us? Eat dirty, brother.
Yeah.
Think about the gains. And I'm like,
even if, say, you didn't eat dirty the week before and you honestly just wanted to eat clean, that should be okay. I think it's just annoying that you always feel like you need to give someone a reason or a purpose. Like it shouldn't be like that. If you say you wanted to do this certain thing, you don't need to explain yourself.
Well, I mean, to have a reason is fine. Like if someone genuinely questioned, it's fine.
Cool.
But it's the follow-up conversation after that. It's more like, oh, well, how, why, what, you know what I mean? And it's like, well, bruh, like chill. Like I just want to do it. I just want to eat it. You know what I mean?
And like the going out thing, if you're like, no, I'm not busy tomorrow, I just honestly want to chill at home tonight. And they're like, that means you're free. Like just because I'm free doesn't mean I need to spend every single second of my free time out doing something that's draining my energy, right? Like I honestly just want to recharge and chill at home and watch a movie.
It's funny because I don't think I've ever experienced that where someone has basically said, hey man, you want to come out? And I say, nah, I don't feel like it. And they question. They go,
I think I have. I've maybe not in the recent years, but I have before.
Yeah, it's like, oh, why? Why do you want to chill at home? Or,
no, it's not. They don't ask you why do you want to chill at home. It's more like, are you doing something later, or are you busy, or are you doing something tomorrow? And if you're like no, then they're like, then you're free. Like you're cool. Like you're doing nothing anyway. You might as well come out.
Yeah. See that scenario I've never experienced. It's just like I'll just be like, nah, I can't be fucked. And they're like, yeah, righto.
Like, don't care.
Yeah, it's just like people don't really question it, I guess, for me.
Well, I guess for me, I can see why it happens to me because I have a very submissive, like my personality. People may view me as I can be swayed, whereas you, like if you have a decision, they know that you've made your decision.
Yeah. And I think it's just the way I express it too, or they know how I am, I guess, in my characteristics. So they know, oh, okay, we'll just let them be. Because, like I said.
Yeah, but because your reaction is always like, fuck that. Or like, oh, hell no. Like, how are you even meant to respond to that?
Well, look, yeah, it is very true. But it's, and I think that's the reason, right? It's to express how I really feel about that particular situation or scenario, whatever they're asking me to do. It's to get them to feel how I'm actually feeling. So there are people out there who push and try to peer pressure you. And it's just about, I guess, if you really feel a particular way, just stand your ground.
By saying, fuck that.
Yeah, that's it,
And
man.
you're going to do it, fuck that.
Yeah, you do the reaction like, fuck that shit.
That's pretty much it. I just wanted to bring that up because it definitely resonated with me. It was something that popped up on Instagram and it got me thinking because I never thought of it that way. I was just always like, why do I always feel so bad saying I want to do this? Or why do I feel so bad that I want to do that?
Yeah, look, everyone's relatable in some way or form, not just in gym. It's food, right?
Yeah,
food is the biggest one.
Could be anything.
Could be
it doesn't
anything.
have to be any of these. These were just examples that we related to. And obvious her because she works out, she does Muay Thai, and that gym example was exactly the example that happened to us.
Yeah. So tips is just be yourself, man. Fucking, if people don't respect you, then you know who not to sort of surround yourself around. And there's different levels of reaction. Is to talk to them and be like, hey, chill, respect my shit. And if they don't respect that, then that's when you take it up the next notch. That's up to your discretion as to how you want to react. I know how I would react, but as long as you can get your point through to that person, and if they don't respect it, then tell them to fuck off.
That's the way to end the episode.
Right on,
And
brother.
That's it. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much if you have reached to the end. We really appreciate you for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please share it with your friends or family and subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you are listening to.
Make sure you share any topics you'd like us to cover or questions you might have to our Instagram.
Slide it into our DMs.
Bigger. You can also stay in the loop of all the behind the scenes and the release of our new episodes there too. Our Instagram is Ask the Duo Podcast. That's AskTheDuo Man, feels like I'm in a spelling bee competition right now. Alright, that's it for now, and we'll see you back here for our next episode. Bye!
See ya!